My name is Rhapsody. Welcome back to the solo. That's my collection. The solo adventures here in Hearthstone, specifically dungeon runs in Kobolds and Catacombs. My apologies about the delay since the last episode. I kind of had to get all my ducks in a row to make sure that another series would be able to continue without impedance before I could come back to the Hearthstone one. But now that we're back, it's time to play Priest. Now, we've done a lot of Death Rattle Priest. We've also done Death Rattle Priest. Other than Death Rattle Priest, what have we done? We did a Death Rattle Priest once. That was pretty good. So, let's try and do like a Bag of Tricks, maybe, would be nice. I'd like to do Bag of Tricks. I'd like to do like a spell damage one. You know, just mind blast the opponent's face off, Velen, all that kind of jazz. Control the board in the meantime. Our spell-heavy versions haven't done an incredible amount of work for us. I will do the trade here. Again, I'm worried about Bestial Wrath. Our spell-heavy versions haven't done an incredible amount of work for us, nor have the elemental ones, but maybe we get off with the right cards, and maybe it happens to work for us this time. Who knows? I'm gonna kill that, just so that my opponent can't use it to do anything to my board. Okay, we are 1 damage short of lethal right now. That's more than fine by me, though.
Right away.
Then I'll just murder this. I'm just gonna be cruel as hell. Because I know they don't have any instant removal on the board or anything like that. Like, unless they have a minion on the board, they can't use Timberwolf to buff them, and they can't use Bestial Wrath. The only card they have that could do something would have been the Stone Tusk Boar, and they already played that in turn 1. It's the only card with priority, really. Death Rattles trigger twice. Alright. Well, there's Last Rites. Well, this is interesting, because both the Last Rites and Resurrection are both good pickups here. Last Rites is already... well... not really. So Baron Rivendare is your minions trigger their death rattle twice. But the thing is, we already have Totems of the Dead, and and the wording of it is not it triggers an extra time, it's it triggers twice. So as a result, Totem of the Dead plus Baron Rivendare does not triple or quadruple the amount of death rattles triggered. The only real benefit here is Carnivorous Cube would be amazing in a death rattle deck, because you play it to eat a minion that has a death rattle. That death rattle triggers twice. Then the Carnivorous Cube dies. Its death rattle for summoning 2 of the original minion triggers twice. That's insane. However, the value pick here is Tortolan Shellraiser, Obsidian Statue, and Resurrect. We'll take that. Candlebeard should be fine. We've actually got reasonable early game as well as reasonable early game removal. Whew. My apologies if I appear a little bit out of breath. I just had one of the spiciest meals I've ever had in my entire life, and it destroyed me. It hurt. But God, it was good. Potion of Madness I should probably keep in hand, just because the opponent has a penchant for playing the Poisonous Snake that I can't remember the name of. 1 mana, 2/1 with Deadly. There it is, Pit Snake. And we can use it to kill my opponent's next board generation. There's no reason to play the Fairy Dragon here. Allow my opponent to trade when I could just use their Pit Snake against them. Instead, I get to save it so that I can play the Fairy Dragon this turn. Awesome. Tortolan Shellraiser, Taunt, Death Rattle, give a friendly minion, +1/+1. This is going to give me the ability to protect myself. Ooh, I have to Shadow Word Paint that, unfortunately. It's going to give me the ability to protect myself against any burst that Candlebeard is trying to do. Unfortunately, not yet. Not yet. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sacrifice my 1/3 here in order to kill the pit snake. Well, do I?
Right away.
It's just Holy Nova. Adds a little bit more damage in, heals my face a little bit more. What are you gonna add? Oh, right. Buff this and hit my face. Sure. Charge! Don't even hit my face. That's even better. If I play the Light Spawn, I force my opponent to do something. See, I'm worried I play Tortola and my opponent just plays like a Magma Rager and then charges it, runs in with these two. I mean, that's still good. That's still getting value for the Shell Razor. Well, because the thing is, the turn after that, I have Dark Cultist plus Light Spawn, and if I can kill the Dark Cultist, it'll buff my Light Spawn, so... Okay. I don't think you can kill the... Well, I know you can kill it, I mean, but you can't get through and do anything once you're there. Just gonna drop both of the minions. I also still have a Mind Blast in my deck, so 1 in 3 that I just draw lethal. Holy Smite Mind Blast. But also, my opponent needs to clear my board. That's the wrong order to have done that in. Bud, dude, guy, pal, friend. Although it might not actually have an effect. Yeah, somehow... I don't think it had an effect at all. So Crystalline Oracle would be a really, really good early game pickup. That's a 1 mana, 1/1 elemental with Death Rattle. Add a random card, class card. I've forgotten what it is. This is interesting. Mind Games is amazing against some enemies and horrible against others. Shadow Madness is still just reasonably good. Archbishop Benedictus, for a deck that is going to have such a strong theme because Death Rattle and Death Rattle Priest is like really, really powerful, I don't think we go with the Archbishop Benedictus. We could take the Circle of Healing, Holy Champion, Priest of the Feast, and that's just a little bit of healing to myself, as well as we've got the benefit for the Holy Champion being able to kick in a bunch of extra damage when we possibly need it. Again, not a huge fan of that, to be honest. We could take Zombie Chow, Darkness, Vol'jin. So let's think about that one. There's a lot of enemies that will actually burn through their entire deck quite quickly. Azari is not one of those. Zol is. That is Zol the Unscathed. I'm talking about the final tier enemies that we can fight. King Togwoggle goes through his deck almost instantly, so the Darkness would actually be ridiculous against them. Vol'jin is actually a really, really nice card. I used to play a Control Priest back when Vol'jin was in, not only in meta, but also in Standard, and damn, it's the one time at which I actually really liked Priest as a class. Also got Zombie Chow, it's just a strong early game minion. It will have double Death Rattle of healing up the opponent for 10, but if I play the Arcanized Soul Priest and then kill my own Zombie Chow, I'm going to nuke the opponent instead for 10. I'm actually going to take the Shadow here.
Stupid Twilight Dragon be making kobolds weak.
Weaker. So the thing that we need to always be scared about when versing Seriona is whether or not the turn 4 Duskbreaker is going to come out. That's the real thing that makes or breaks your game.
The light shall bring victory.
Unfortunately, when we're fighting early enemies, their deck size is like twice ours. So unless they're a deck that does specifically just super dig its draw, the Darkness is actually not going to be effective. Because we're going to run out and we're going to be in fatigue long before the third candle is actually drawn. Mind Blast is a quarter of my opponent's health, but still not that good. I need some ability to control the board on the early game. Nah. Lightspawn's actually really good because Seriona's hero power can't be used against it. Seriona's hero power is lower an enemy minion's attack by 1. You can't do that to the Lightspawn because its attack is always equal to its health. Okay. Let's play the Zombie Chow. Because if they do... Ooh, they didn't even spend the turn doing Fading Light. That's a Spirit Lash, okay. I want to drop the Arcanine. I guess the problem is, if I play the Arcanine and then my opponent uses Potion of Madness to take the Zombie Chow and run it into my Arcanine, that's not even that bad for me. That said, why am I playing Arcanine if I could just play the Lightspawn and then I can play the Arcanine when it's actually going to have an effect on board? The only difference here is I won't be able to use a heal from the Arcanine next turn. Alright, and we have Lethal. Awesome. It's a really good pickup. Sacrifice that. Does 5 damage to the opponent's face. Does another 5 damage to the opponent's face. Holy Smite and run in with 5. Well played. As our deck size increases, the consistency of doing that as our opener and then finisher is going to decrease really, really quickly. So I would say we get like two more tries of doing that. Well, this is interesting. It's definitely not Bag of Stuffing. That's the only one that is not really in contention here. The Candle, deal 4 damage to all enemy minions, shuffle this back into your deck. That's really interesting because it means you can go long, unless you're up against Azari the Devourer, this is. It means that you'll always have a card in your deck. You just play Candle, play Candle, play Candle, play Candle. I don't have a bunch of card draws, so I usually don't end up at my deck at the end of my deck. In fact, I have 1 card draw, and that's courtesy of the North Sheer Cleric. Shifting Hourglass is just a really, really powerful card. Costs 1 less for each boss you've defeated this run, so it'll cost 4 right now. And for 4 mana, we're effectively getting a Wild Growth plus continue to develop your board, take things. I'm going to take the Shifting Hourglass here. That's really unfortunate. So we could take the Shadow. Herald Village is actually really good in a deck where we're intending to take a lot of Death Rattles, because Herald Village, Battlecry, summon a 1/1 copy of each of your other minions, means that we can just fill our board with Death Rattles, rather. We've also got Vol'jin, swap health with another minion. The problem is, like, in this deck right now, I'd be a little bit interested in possibly taking the double Battlecry. Especially if I took Herald Village. In fact, I don't think I have any other Battlecries in this deck right now. Except, we do have Vol'jin. So if we double Battlecry, Vol'jin swaps health with another minion and then does it again. So I summon a 6/2 for 5 mana. That kind of sucks. We do have 1 dragon in our deck so far, which means that Dragon Priest is probably not the pickup here. I think we would have needed to get that earlier. We do have a Crystalline Oracle on offer in Elementals, so we could try and take that. Lyra can be super powerful, but the thing is we don't really have that many spells, so we do lose a large amount of that. Radiant Elemental, again, could be super powerful, but we don't have that many spells. Crystalline Oracle is really powerful for us, though. Arcanine is a pretty good card, but the thing is we're starting to run out of early game. I wish you could look at your curve just by, like, hovering over things, as you can do in Arena. But we've got, like, a turn 2 play. We have 1 turn 2 play, 2 turn 1 plays, a turn 3 play, and then we've got 4s and 5s. So I think we have to take the Elemental, mainly for curve consideration, so that we can take a Crystalline Oracle and a Radiant Elemental just to play on curve. Fungomancer, Lego.
Anduin versus Fungomancer Flurgle.
Just try and swallow your tongue. That's how you do the Moloch sounds. It's like a boomer from Left 4 Dead. Shifting Hourglass is a really good pickup. Enemy's hero power here is just give 1/1 to all of your minions. So, yeah, give your minions 1/1. So we just can't let them flood. So I'm going to play the Radiant Elemental here with the intent of making the Shifting Hourglass playable next turn. Cool. We'll attack here. Smite. Shifting. End the turn. Take our extra turn. Heal the Radiant Elemental up. Run it in. And then Fairy Dragon. That is why we took the Shifting Hourglass. We've taken complete control of the board from a position where we were quite behind. And yeah, now we've got such a dominant position on board that I don't think my opponent actually has the ability to get back. Cool. 5 health. Well, I mean, I could actually just lower its health. And in fact, I almost certainly should. So that's a 5 mana, 6/5. That's not great. Premium stats for a 5 mana creature would be 5/6. That's just like premium vanilla stats.
My fate is sealed.
I do pretty desperately want to keep the Radiant Elemental around, so I am going to sacrifice the minion there. I could summon a 1 mana... Yeah, I'm actually going to do that as well. Summon a 1 mana Fairy Dragon. Because I'm almost entirely convinced that my opponent doesn't have any AoE in this deck. So just keeping control of the board makes it impossible for them to come back. Easiest removal option of my life. That was dumb. So I should have run a 3/2 into the Stoneclaw Totem. Then I could have run my 2/1 into the 1/1 and then healed it to get maximum HP value.
My fate is sealed.
I would have done a little less damage to face, but, you know, whatever. It's worth noting those Darkness Candles are not going to be particularly powerful for us against an enemy that mills cards. Okay, on board we have 11, 15. Yeah, we're short. Right, we are short, right? 8 and 6. 8 and 6 is 14, and Mind Blast is, yeah, not lethal.
I can't do that.
At the same time, there is no reason to not start going for it.
My fate is sealed. Here comes.
Yep. All right, this one's over. The enemy actually managed to develop a reasonable board rather near the end, but it doesn't really stack up against my even more reasonable board. And a large amount of why that board was so reasonable was the Radiant Elemental allowing me to play the Shifting Hourglass earlier. But then on top of that, the ability to kind of flood out the board with low stat, not low stat, but low cost creatures. So our curve consideration, I feel, was correct. So many Arcanines. We've got Twilight Call here. Summon 2/1/1 copies of 2 friendly death. Summon 1/1 copies of 2 friendly Death Rattle minions that died this game. So I do have to have 2 Death Rattle minions die before Twilight Call is good. And I really just don't have that many Death Rattles in this deck right now. Like, Twilight's Call, for me, is a really good late game card because I play it after 2 of my Obsidian statues have died. Other than that, I've got the option to add a random Death Rattle minion that died this game to your hand. Can is pretty good. Awaken the Makers, I'm not really going to trigger. I have 1 Death Rattle, 2 Death Rattle, 3 Death Rattle, floor. Sorry, 4. 5. I have 5 total. Like, if I play every possible Death Rattle, then I can trigger Awaken the Makers, and I would have to play the Tomb Lurker as well. I don't think I can take that. I think I take Resurrection, and now my game plan is basically hinged around the idea of getting these Obsidian statues down, just getting to the turns where I can play them, and thumping them and just letting them decimate my opponent's board while they heal me back up. That's right, destroy 1/10 of my opponent's board.
Anduin versus
This guy gets the 1-mana Kazakus potions.
The light shall bring victory.
Hey, hey! Wanna buy some fungus?
That's a curve. Not amazing, but it is a curve. Drop the Fairy Dragon next turn. Turn after Shifting Hourglass. We get to push some early damage, which is nice. So this is on autocast, which means my opponent has to play it if they have it available. And then they get a 1-mana potion, so there's nothing they could do. So we get to attack for 4 and then Shifting Hourglass. Oh. Take an extra turn. Attack for another 4. That's unfortunate, though. Seeing as cards are... like, the amount of cards is what's holding me back, I'll actually just hold on to the Mind Blast right now.
Too bad.
Because I'll pretty much be able to play it whenever I want it. Couldn't kill my 1/1? Good thing I didn't Mind Blast. It would have actually lost value if I played it there. The problem with playing Vol'jin here...
Is someone injured?
Yeah. The problem with playing Vol'jin is... if I do it, my opponent only has to get a Mushroom Potion that does 2 damage in an AoE, and they can just clear my board. I actually do want to sacrifice my Crystalline Oracle now so that I can get some cards. Because I do not have enough value. Shroom Sayer. Oh.
Right away.
I can't really afford to play that. The problem with playing Shroom Sayer is my opponent will only need to deal damage to Shroom Sayer, and there goes my entire board. Ooh.
Trust me.
That's a Mistress of Mixtures. I'm just going to identify cards. Let's draw a card.
Right away.
This is going to be a very slow fight. We did ramp a little, but we're still not. That's what I was worried about. I think I have to Shadow Word Death that so that I can keep my board. So here's what I'm going to do. Swap health with it. Then I'm going to Shadow Word Death it. This is just so that I can develop a 6/7.
Right away.
Yeah, this bad. Real bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, with a handful of things they haven't played,
Bad. Smell this recipe. Yeah.
it was pretty damn likely that they had a lot of things that they just couldn't play. That's probably not the right minion to have frozen there.
Right away.
At this point, we just need to go face a punch. That's the best Shadow Word Pain target there is. I love it. It's so fucking juicy, dude. I love it. This isn't lethal,
Right away.
right? No. It's not far off, but it's not lethal. Holy Smite Mind Blast. Holy Smite Mind Blast for 7.
Just a pinch of liquor.
You love my
Yeah, we're done.
Now, all sails
Thank you for buffing my minion there. Really? Extraordinarily. Kind of. You. Blow him up. Okay. We don't have much card draw in this deck. The thing is, we gave up being able to use Robe of the Magi. We've literally just got Holy Smite, Mind Blast, and Holy Nova, you know, the previous spell damage cards. And we've kind of diluted them in our deck now because we've taken a bunch of things that aren't spell damage. So I think it's just small backpacks, get ourselves some more draw. Combo Caster is a really nice package that I would like to experiment with sometime, but I can't do that while I still have Resurrection available. Especially when Sylvanas is in the pack.
Tunnel is not tunnel at all. Big mouth, toothy mouth.
Nosh the Great Worm is easy with some classes and extra, like, less easy with others.
Anduin versus Nosh, the Great Worm.
So Nosh's mechanic is an auto cast, destroy the minion with the highest attack on the field.
Light shall bring victory.
Probably should have kept the Spellstone. Yeah, I should have kept the Spellstone. But it's... Come on. Yeah. Yep, Swallow Whole. Destroy the minion with the highest attack. If you have a minion with Poisonous and the enemy swallows it whole, they die just instantly. Kind of really cool. So since that's on autocast, there's no reason for me to play anything until my opponent at least has something on board. See? Well, now my opponent has something on board that is kind of going to be annoying. That said, if I play anything, it's going to die instead, so we'll let my opponent eat the Haunted Creeper. Then they've got 2 1/1s. Now, I'm always going to need to play something to die instead of the Devilsaur Egg there, because I really don't want that Devilsaur Egg. Nine cards in hand, we'll hold a game. This is a weird fight, man. Okay, that's gonna die next turn. One of them's gonna die next turn. I mean, I can Shadow Word Paint one of them and then the other one will die. Sure. Awesome. Nubisath Sentinel dying here is actually super late. But, like, do I sacrifice something? That seems stupid. I haven't had any minions die, so I can actually just have, like, Obsidian Statue, Resurrect, Obsidian Statue, that kind of thing happening later if I don't play any cards. But then I'm going to start milling things from the top of my deck. I'm going to play that to get it out of my hands. Anubisath Sentinel dies. Please don't buff the Devilsaur Egg. It buffed the Devilsaur Egg because of course it did. I think this is the first time I've ever seen my opponent get like a reasonably good draw. I am Sigward of Katarina, and I appear to be in a bit of a pickle. Alright. What was the minion of ours that was eaten? It was a zombie chow. So if I play Lyra, I can Holy Smite and I can summon a zombie chow. I get 2 cards in my hand. But I've also got the Lyra out of my hand. I actually won't be able to use Lyra for a ridiculous amount, just because my hand is full of minions and I don't even have that many spells. We'll play the Holy Smite first. Well, now that's gonna die. Devilsaur Egg. That's nice. I could have inner fired it if it wasn't buffed, though. So we said I'll resurrect. Okay. Spirit Lash is gonna be pretty good for us. Opponent kills their own highest minion. There's a 5/5, which will die at the start of my opponent's next turn. Pretty good. Uh-oh. Psychic Scream is going to be a really good clear later, but I don't think it's necessary yet. I'm going to make that equal so that my opponent has to kill it. Shadow Visions will get a spell out of my deck, but it will also give me a spell. So I need to have space for 2. Potion of Madness. I should probably take a Potion of Madness for later. Yeah. Oh, this sucks. My hand's full and I can't do anything about it. I think I actually sack the Zombie Chow and Lyra, then I Power Word Shield my own North Share. But that again will still have my hand filled. We have too many cards. Just way too many cards. Alright, fine. I'm just gonna waste that to get it out of my hand. Opponent kills their own 7/7. Next turn, not this turn. I do need to eventually start hitting my opponent in the face direction.
The spirits be blessed.
Let's use Vol'jin here.
The damned stand ready.
And just start developing a board.
Right away.
I love that a lot of the minions in my opponent's deck will allow me to manipulate their HP. Violet Worm is unfortunate. Thankfully, we've got Spirit Lash to deal with the results of it.
Right away.
Here comes my fate.
Okay. There dies the Violet Worm. If only they were all damaged somehow. Yeah, I just need to get a bunch of minions on board. Spirit Lash. Light Spawn. And Arcanine.
Right away.
My opponent's gonna kill Volton. That was the wrong order. Just harmed myself with a lifesteal on the Obsidian statue there. The opponent eats Vol'jin. Yeah, I'm good. I'm totally good here. Awesome.
Well played.
Corridor Creeper? Has about 3 health too much. They should really nerf that.
Right away.
My fate is sealed.
There we go. Easily done. So now we have our 7th and 8th bosses. These are the only ones that really pose a challenge. That's not good. Discipline is a pretty good pickup here, because we do have a lot of high HP value minions. And Power Word Shields, like just Radiant Elemental, Power Shield, Power Shield. I would have taken Prophet Velen if I had the spell damage and had built a spell damage, kind of deck. Shadow form could be interesting. I think the fight would definitely go long enough for me to get value from it. I'm going to take Shadow. Spirit Lash is also a really good early control. Overseer Mogark in the late game can be real rough. Blaming the rogue.
Anduin versus Mogark.
There's our Radiant Elemental. Let's hard mulligan, looking for Shifting Hourglass as well as the Powered Shields. We have 3 in the deck. 3? 2. I think we only have 2. Okay. This is really good. We're going to be able to control the early board. Hopefully we can have the Radiant Elemental out and affecting the Shadow Fiend. So I did that attack because it prevents the Unstable Ghoul from being able to be buffed. Otherwise, my opponent is going to kill it with the Searing Lash. Deal 1 damage to a friendly minion and give it 1 attack. Man. You're making life real easy on me. The only way they can now activate the minions on only 1 HP is Rampage. Short of that, and we are fine. I think it might actually be time to sacrifice our Shadow Fiend here. As much as I'd love to continue lowering the cost of my card draws. Well, I mean, this lowers the cost of spells, and this will lower the cost of all cards that I draw. So at the cost of a Holy Smite and running my Radiant Elemental in, I can draw another card this turn. Okay.
Is someone injured?
Okay, I like this. That's appealing, but it doesn't do anything. Okay. Give my opponent another card, unfortunately. That's a really, really optimistic roll. Worked out for them, well done. Still only killed the 3/3, but yeah. I would have preferred had they killed 1 fewer 3/3s. The opponent did get like a really bogus draw here, so that's kind of handy for us. Given my opponent's hero power, I really don't want them to have minions on board. I guess I just sacrifice this and buff my own Dark Cultist. Sounds good to me. Ooh. Alright, fingers crossed. You ready? Resurrect this the Tortolan. This might even be better. And here I actually will just generate a 6/6 and debuff one of my own minions. I need 6 more attack on the field to work with.
Blade be thirsty. Go now.
Okay. This, of course, seems totally normal and natural to me. Potion of Madness is good. We can take the Unstable, run it into my own opponent's minion. Yeah. Take this. Run it in. I have double Death Rattle. I'm a fucking moron. I was thinking, oh yeah, no, I'll run that in and then I'll run in one of my other minions, but no. Well, obviously, like, I didn't want to sacrifice the Dark Cultist first because I was like, oh, the Dark Cultist might buff the Unstable Ghoul. That's really unfortunate. Even if it had buffed the Unstable Ghoul, it would have still died to the Frothing Berserker. So yeah, it was just pretty much in every way ridiculously incorrect to have done that in that order. That's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's bad play is what it is. So my opponent is drawing themselves quite heavily through their deck, which is going to make my job a lot easier. Wow, these battle rages. It's going to make my job a lot easier because actually a lot of the time you end up going through the entire opponent's deck here. I'm actually going to run in my minion. My Death Rattle will trigger first, so it won't kill the 4/4. But then I get to Twilight's Call to resummon 2. But at the moment, I'm going to summon an Obsidian, because otherwise I'm going to float way too much mana. My nose is so itchy. Spirit Lash. Buff up my Obsidian statue, make it impenetrable. I also could have done 10 damage to the opponent's face with Spirit Lash. That's not really the point of this deck now, is it? The point of this deck is entirely just, well, at this point rather, get my opponent into fatigue. Kill that. Attack here. Heal you up. Well, we're gonna have a dead minion next turn, so I'll summon the Arclight now. No, that's actually a good order of operations. Well done, buddy. You forced me to pop the egg. Now, however, the Obsidian statue will kill both of them. Go for it. Hopefully I don't kill the Runic Egg. Bad ordering. You made it less likely that I was going to kill the Runic Egg there. Also... Oh, right, I'm actually taking damage to that because the Arcanine Soul Priest. Forgot about that. There goes the Runic Egg, unfortunately. So the darkness just got a lot better. I guess I'm not playing the Onyx Bishop this turn then. Because I do want to clear the opponent's board.
Step it up.
I have no time for games.
So my opponent's Death Rattle will trigger before my own, so the Nerubian running into Sylvanas would result in me taking the Nerubian.
The game begins.
Hey, that's exactly what I wanted. I still have a Lyra in my deck, so I'm holding on to the Mind Blast. Ooh. Thankfully, the darkness can't be affected. Really? That sucks. I take it before it gets before my death rattle to kill enemy minions triggers, so I do get a 4/4 at least. There's my Lyra, which is why I was holding the Mind Blast. That's unfortunate. Shadowed Horror is actually really good against this opponent's deck. There's one candle. There's two candles. Not the third candle, unfortunately. I think at this point I do actually just try and make my opponent draw cards, so. 3 candles! Bing, bing, bing! The darkness awakens! 2020, let's go. Woo! Yeah, I can put my opponent into starting their fatigue right now. In fact, it's so easy to. I'm gonna cast Shadowed Horror to do absolutely nothing. I'm gonna get a Light of Naru. Eternal Servitude's actually a really good pickup as well. My opponent has played 2 copies of Brawl here. I'm trying to think what they haven't played 2 copies of. They haven't played their second Rampage. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did the Searing Lash and then Rampage this. Haven't they played their second Rampage? I think they haven't. I could be wrong though. Eternal Servitude to gain a Radiant Elemental. Hell yeah. And then we'll just bop him in the face with 20 damage because why not? Seems like the thing to do. Gloves of Mugging. So the loyal sidekick here would be +1/+1, so it'd be 9/9, a 9/9 taunt for 1. That's pretty good. It has +1/+1. So if I resurrect that rather, it's actually still really good. But depending on who your enemy is, the Gloves of Mugging can just completely gimp them. So Togwoggle always has a full hand, so Gloves of Mugging doesn't really do that much against Togwoggle. However, Azari has a lot of cards in hand that you really want to take away from Azari. But the most important one by far is Zol the Unscathed. Against Zol the Unscathed, the Gloves of Mugging you can use to take the Warlock quest from them. You can use to just empty their hand. You can use to take beams from them. It's either that or the Loyal Sidekick. I think I actually might take the Loyal Sidekick now. I think I've convinced myself that maybe we go with the Loyal Sidekick just because it's not Battlecry, gain +1/+1 for each boss you've defeated this run. It's just has +1/+1. But this is a spell. I've taken Gloves of Mugging more than I've taken the Loyal Sidekick, so I'm actually just going to take the Loyal Sidekick here. And here I think I take Resurrection. Just so that I can get these 2 Eternal Servitudes. I forgot about Vustras. As always, I forgot about Vustras. Fuck, I hate Vustras. Oh, this is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. I'm not keen on this.
Versus Vustras the Ancient.
Oh.
The light shall bring victory.
I'm gonna need the healing, so Shadow Form has to go back. Obviously, I should hard mulligan for the Loyal Sidekick as well. This isn't good. That's also not good. Alright.
Wretched looter.
It begins. Heal ourselves. Got Cultist next turn. It depends. Do they summon anything? They summon something. Dark Cultist, I guess. As much as I desperately want to play the Shifting Hourglass, I can't play it until the Chromatic Dragonkin is dead.
The damned stand ready.
So I'll play someone who can contest them. Hopefully they don't just buff that same treasure chest again and kill my minion. Okay, that's unfortunate for me as well. It had to be on that one? Did it? Did it have to be on that one? Did it have to be on that one, I mean?
My fate is sealed.
Just, wow. Extremely lame. Actually gonna chuck in a smite there. And then in my next extra turn, I'll kill you. I'll kill you. I'll kill you dead.
The game begins. The dam stand ready.
Okay, we've now actually made a really reasonable board. It's worth noting that the opponent does have a couple board clears. There's the Holy Nova. Thankfully, still doesn't get my board. That's a Ysera. You've just given me a Ysera. That's a good pickup for me. Give your opponent 2 coins? Is that a downside I care about? Not really. It'll give my opponent 4 coins. Ooh, 4 coins. Yeah, maybe let's hold off on doing that one.
Checkmate.
I'm gonna leave the Dark Cultist as vulnerable so that it can possibly die and buff up my light spawn. It's a dramatic Kragenkin. Oh, that's not good for me.
Oh. My fate is sealed.
Let's buff the ever-loving shit out of his light spawn. That seems like a good first port of call. This is still lesser, so that's really unfortunate for me. Well, Twilight Call. Good. That's a lot more resources represented on the board. I just need to hope that this freaking 412 doesn't start running into my 1111. Because if my opponent sacrifices their master chests, this just becomes like an end game really quickly. And obviously I'm not keen on that. Since my opponent does have Looming Presence, they can draw through their deck quite reasonable rate. You're starting to do the thing I didn't want you to do. Why are you doing the thing that I didn't want you to do? Sacrifice these. Darkness Candle. I mean, Snuff Out a Candle cast this when drawn. It wasn't drawn, I just got it from my opponent's deck.
My fate
Buff the HP of this light spawn. At least that casts as a spell, so it upgraded the Diamond Stone. I'm just really banking on the fact that my opponent won't sack their own Master Chest. We're pretty much all in on this light spawn, though. Good. I figured that their AI was such that they wouldn't sack their own chest, but I wasn't entirely certain. We need to get a Ysera down, though. Just start generating cards, because we're going to need to outvalue the opponent. If they manage to take down that light spawn at any point, we're just going to have to be able to spam value on the board, otherwise we're dead. That's another candle.
One by one.
I did it bad. I've given my opponent the ability to lose so many of their minions on board right now. Oh no. Please kill the leftmost two. Well, I mean, if it had to kill one of the chests, that's the chest I would have chosen. So...
My hand is too full.
there goes Vol'jin. I actually kind of didn't want Vol'jin. We'll take Zarog's crown here. Spirit Singer Umbra and then play a Obsidian statue would just blow up my entire opponent's board and it would fuck me to death instant. Let's not do that. Okay. So I've gone extremely wide on this board. Double Nightmare should allow us to push for lethal next turn. 1 damage was dealt to everything, but that's not enough to... That is... So there goes my board. So that's not good. At least we have this Diamond Spellstone. I'd have to cast 3 more spells to upgrade it. I don't think that's happening. Yeah, it's a pretty good pickup. I don't want to play the Zombie Chow anymore, not unless I'm going to kill it on the same turn.
Is someone injured?
It's another Nightmare. There's the final darkness. So unless my opponent has their other Light Bomb, this is a really good board. If they do have their other Light Bomb, then they have their other Light Bomb, and there's nothing I can really do about that. These are both really good for us right now, because we do have a dragon in hand. The Hoarding...
My hand is too full.
I'm so mad. I can't believe that happened. All right. Play that to get it out of my hand. I can corrupt to you. Get 2 coins. Queen Corrupt to you. Play 2 coins. Heal up my minion on 1 HP. And attack.
Right away.
We're still in a really commanding position, but... I worked hard for that darkness. Oh, so hard for that darkness. I worked hard for that darkness and it didn't treat me right. Sylvanas taking them would count as the opponent losing them, so I don't want that to happen. Okay, so we currently have on board 14 damage. This represents another 15. 14, 15 is 29, and then we have Mind Blast. Do we have any way of accounting for extra lethal? We do. We do. We can kill him this turn. Nightmare, Nightmare, Nightmare. Go face with everything. Use Mind Blast, then we dream the Nightmare minion back to hand, and then cast it to the face for 3 damage and we win the game. Goodbye, Vostros. You've dunked me out of too many dungeon runs. It's about time you get dunked. For the moment, my name has been Rhapsody. The name of the game has been Hearthstone Dungeon Runs. That has been a Death Rattle Priest. We tried not to, but it was what was offered. It is worth noting, the Death Rattle element of that Priest wasn't even the really big thing in it. The really big thing in it turned out to be the ability to manipulate health and the ability to resurrect minions. So while it would have been a really good Death Rattle build, we weren't really offered enough to make it a huge Death Rattle build. So, and in fact, a lot of times the Death Rattles were a negative for us. That just turned out to be a pretty well-rounded deck. Hopefully you've been enjoying yourselves, and hopefully we will see you next time, Diana.